So now that we have learned about the LR0 algorithm and its variants like SLR, simple LR, LR1 and ADLR1, today we are going to look at one of these algorithms, the simple LR algorithm, in more detail, and we are going to see how it's actually getting implemented in real world. So the first thing is that when we describe these algorithms, we basically say that we're going to run the stack alpha on an automaton. It could be an NFA or a DFA, and then decide whether it's a viable prefix or not. And we're going to do this at every step. So every time the cursor moves one step to the left, we're going to have to run the entire NFA on the entire stack over and over again. Now this seems wasteful because much of this computation is repetitional. For example, the first n-1 characters of the stack haven't changed because of one shift, and so the state that the first n-1 symbols are going to reach is not going to differ, and it's only the last one or two characters that have changed, right? And so we do not, so this is an optimization that's used in practice. We do not rerun the automaton on the entire stack alpha. Instead, what we do is we maintain the state also along with the stack symbol entries. So every stack entry is not just a symbol as it was in the original scheme that was described, but instead it is a tuple of a symbol and the state that is reached in the automaton by running the stack from bottom till that symbol. All right. So for example, the first entry of the stack is the epsilon symbol, which represents that there's been no symbol that has been consumed so far, or it represents a dummy symbol basically, and it represents this state 0, which probably represents the item s prime produces dot s, which is our start item for the automaton, for the NFA. And the state here is representing the state of the automaton. And recall that when we say automaton, it could be either an NFA or a DFA. However, when we talk of an NFA, the state would basically mean a subset of the states of the NFA, whereas for a DFA, it would be a single unique state that we are referring to. So for convenience, I'm just going to assume that it is a DFA. And so when I say state 0, it represents a single state of the DFA. And we know that these things are interchangeable. So any state in DFA represents a subset of states in NFA and vice versa. So we're going to assume that DFA. And so epsilon comma state 0 represents the first state of the DFA, the initial state of the DFA, or the start state of the DFA. And then this next symbol on the stack is sim1, and state 1 represents the state that is reached by starting in state 0 and consuming sim1. Similarly, state 2 would represent the state in the DFA that's reached by starting at state 0 and consuming sim1 followed by sim2, and so on. Similarly, state n is the state in the DFA reached by consuming symbols sim1, sim2, sim3, sim n. So we store the respective automaton state with every symbol on stack, and so anytime we shift, it is very easy to compute what would be the state associated with the new symbol that has been pushed on the stack. Okay, so we are going to implement the SLR algorithm. We are going to define an array to represent the NFA, or in fact we are implementing a DFA. So we're going to to represent that if I am in state I and I consume a character A, then I reach state J in the DFA. Now to represent this, I'm going to just define an array, which is the goto array. It says the first element is the start state, the next element, indexed element, is the character or the token that is consumed, and the return value or the value that is stored at that index, that pair of indices, is the end state. So starting at state I, after consuming token A, I reach state J, and so I say go to I comma A is set to J. So this array state kind of represents our automaton. There are two types of moves when I'm doing my shift reduce parsing. One move is called shift X. Now we already know what's a shift move and what's a reduce move, but I'm also annotating the shift move with a special state symbol called X. And this X represents a state of the NFA, and basically what it means is it pushes A comma X to stack. All right. So the X is coming from the argument of this move shift X. So and A is coming from the next input token. So when we say shift, it's very, we already know what to shift. We just shift the next input token, right? And that next input token is A. But we also need to know what's the NFA state. So we are assuming that we're going to give it as an argument to this instruction shift. And so and X here represents the NFA or the DFA state. I'm sorry for calling it an NFA state. The DFA state that is meant to recognize viable prefixes. Okay, so that's shift X. That's one type of move. Another type of move is just a reduce move, which says reduce. But along with reduce, I also say what production I'm using to reduce, and that was always the case. We always used to write what production we used to reduce, and so that production will be the operand of this particular instruction. And so, for example, the production could be X produces some string of terminals and non-terminals alpha. Okay, then there are other types of moves like accept or error. So accept basically means that I have reached the end of my input, and the stack is basically representing the start symbol S prime. Right? So if I've ever been able to, so as soon as I reduce, and my reduction is basically resulting in the single symbol S prime on the stack, that's an accept state. So so in my actual algorithm, I'm not going to represent accept as a separate thing. Just assume that if I reduce and what I'm left with the stack is just S prime and nothing else, and I've reached the end of the input, which means that there's nothing on the right of the cursor, then I'm in an accept state. Similarly, there's an error state, and we already know what's an error state. If at any point of the shift reduce parser I have neither a shift possibility nor a reduce possibility, then I'm in an error state, and we know why it can happen. It can happen because neither, if I shift, even then I don't have a viable prefix, and if I reduce, even then I don't have a viable prefix, and so that could be a possibility, and that would be an error state. Okay. So based on this goto, which represents the automaton, and these two instructions, shift and reduce, shift X and reduce production, I'm going to define an action table, which basically says that if state I, so it basically says that what is the action that I should do if I am in state I and my next look ahead is A. All right. So that's what a shift reduce SLR parser is going to do, right? I have some stack of tokens I have some stack of symbols on the left of the cursor, and then I have a look ahead token A, and then I need to make a choice. What should I do? And so and so what is the choice that I'm going to make? I'm storing that in this this array called action. All right. So say if I'm in state I, and if that state I has this item called X produces alpha dot A beta, so dot is just before this terminal symbol called A, and go to I A equals J, which means that in the automaton, if you consume A starting at state I, then I go to state J, and the next token in my input stream, the look ahead token in the input stream is an A, then action IA is a shift J. All right, so that basically means that, action IJ is basically just representing what action to take in this situation. And so the action IA basically saying if I'm in state I of the automaton and the next token is an A, then I should just shift J. All right. Notice that I'm not actually using, so I'm just using the state and the A. The next look ahead token. I'm not using the rest of the stack alpha in making this decision, right? Because I'm assuming that whatever I needed from alpha has already been encoded in the state I, because that's what I'm storing along with each entry of alpha. The alpha is the stack of my shift reduce parsing state. All right. Similarly, if state I has item X produces alpha dot, which indicates that there's a possible reduction, and the look ahead symbol A belongs to follow of X, that's the condition for SLR parsing, then action IA equals reduce using the production X produces alpha. All right, so that's just the action IA. So we initialize this array called action I action IA. The one dimension of the action is all the states of the NFA. Another dimension of the action array is basically all the possible terminal symbols of in my language, in my grammar, and then I basically populate this using these rules, saying that whether I should shift or whether I should reduce. Notice that some of the action states may be empty, which means they're neither shift nor reduce, which means that if I ever reach that particular situation, then it's an error. Similarly, if I if I have an action IA that reduces all the way to the start symbol S prime, and there is nothing, and the next symbol is actually a dollar, which means end of input, then I have accepted the string, right? Okay, so this is the high level pseudocode of this procedure. It's exactly what you would expect. So let the input string be some string of characters omega followed by the end of input character dollar. Let j equal 0, which represent the index into the input string. So initially j is 0, which represents the left of the leftmost character of the input string. And let DFA state 1 represent item S prime produces dot S. So this represents the start state of my DFA. Now, and let the initial stack state be epsilon comma 1. So I just initialize my stacks to an empty symbol or a dummy symbol, but importantly I basically want to say that what is the start state, and that is state number 1, which contains my initial starting production. Alright, and this is the pseudocode for my SLR algorithm. It's rather simple. I just repeat until I either accept or there is an error. And acceptance is basically if there's nothing left on the stack except the non-terminal S prime, and I have reached the end of the input, right? And error is if I ever reach a state where there is no possibility, neither shift nor produce. And so whether to shift or reduce, what do? I consult the action table that I built in my last slide. So I consult the action table, and what do I consult using? I consult using the state at the top of the stack, right? So what is the state at the top of the stack? That represents the current state of the NFA. And then what is the next input that's represented by ij? Okay, so j represents the cursor, and so ij represents the next input. And so based on and so also the look ahead input. So look at the top state of the stack and look at the look ahead input, and based on that see what is the action. If the action is shift k, then what do I need to do? I just need to shift the next input into the stack, and so I push I j plus plus. So not only do I shift the next input onto the stack, but I also increment the cursor by doing j plus plus. And the associated state, the NFA state is k, because that's what the action table said, k. So shift k basically represents that after consuming input ij on the DFA, I would have reached DFA state k. So I'm going to push ij plus plus comma k. Similarly, if the other possibility for action is reduce x producing alpha, in this case, what do I want to do? I want to pop off the top few symbols from the stack, which represent the number of symbols in alpha, and then I want to push s into the stack. So that's what I'm going to do. I pop off the top alpha mod alpha symbols. So the number of symbols that are in the RHS of this particular production, that's the number of symbols I pop off the stack, and then I push the x, which is the symbol x. So actually it should have been, I should have written it in the opposite order. It should have been x comma top state stack. Now the only remaining question here is, so let me just fix that. So I need to write x comma top state stack, right? So it's clear that I need to pop off alpha and then I need to push x, but the only question is what's the state that I should be in. So I'm just going to look at the state that is left after popping alpha mod alpha number of symbols from the stack, and then I'm just going to run the NFA on X, and that's going to give me the new state, top state prime of stack.